Hey YouTube, it's Teenage Toolman. I hope you're all having a great day today. Today I'm going to show you how to make an LED sign. I started out by taking a tape measure and measuring 1 inch over from each side. So here's 1 inches, mark that with a pencil. Here's 1 inches, mark that with a pencil. You're going to want to do this on a 2x4 or a 2x6. It has to be at least 2 inches thick because what you're going to be drilling down and then putting lights up from the bottom. So you're going to measure 1 inch from each side. Then you're going to measure the distance from here to here. Now it says that it should be 4 inches, but really it's 3.5. So you're going to take your drill bit. For me, that's going to be a 1/4 inch. It should be around a 1/4 inch because that's around the thickness of a piece of acrylic. So you're going to take a 1/4 inch drill bit, and since the distance across from this side to this side is 3.5 inches, you're going to subtract 3.5 by a 1/4 inch. So that'll get you 3.25. And then you will divide 3.25 divided by 2, which will get you 1 5/8 inches. This gives you a spot, like, so you know where to drill. So I'm going to mark 1 5/8. And you'll probably want to do that at least 2 times so that you can draw a line between these 2 points. So then you'll take your level, line up the 2 points, and then draw across just like this from those 1 inch points from this 1 inch point to this 1 inch point. And then you'll do that again, but on this side you'll measure 1 5/8 inches over, and do the same over here. Now that you have those 2 marked, you'll take your level again, or any straight edge, and put it along the 2 points. Take your pencil and draw across from each 1 inch line. Then you develop a little like rectangle. This is so you know it's like a guide for where you drill. Then you'll move on to the next step, and that will be taping your drill bit so you know how far to drill in. Now take some Scotch tape, your tape measure, and your drill. Flip your drill over like this, and you're going to want to drill a 3/4 inch, like a 3/4 inch hole a bunch of times. But in order to get that 3.25 inches correct, I'm going to take a tape measure and measure from the top here so that I know where to put a piece of tape. This piece of tape is like a guide so that you don't go too far down and poke out the other end. So now that I have that, it's about there. And as you can see, I'm going to wrap it around like this. And then you see how it's long on each side? You're going to tape them together and fold it over just like that. So you have this little piece dangling. This will tell you when you're drilling. This will start rubbing against the wood and you'll hear it or you'll see it. And you'll know that you've drilled in far enough, and you can pop it out and then move to the next hole. One thing before we move on any farther is your acrylic piece will be about the size of a piece of paper. Knowing that, you should take your piece of paper, or a piece of paper, and line it up around 1 millimeter to the left of your first 1 inch point. So for me, that's about there. And then you'll lay it down and measure 1 millimeter again to the left, and then make a mark down the board with a straight edge. This will tell you how far your hole goes. Then you'll take a tape measure and measure 1 inch from that line, and then that will give you the spot where you cut your board. So for me, that's about right here. If you can see that line right there, I'm chopping this little block off because if I don't, our acrylic piece will be able to slide left and right, and also it won't look symmetrical. And in order for this thing to look sweet, it needs to be symmetrical. Now that we have the drill bit taped up, you're going to take your tape measure and measure little half inch dots from your first 1 inch point to your second 1 inch point. So you'll measure a ½ inch right there, and then you'll do that again, and you'll just keep going down until you get to the end. So once you reach the end, you'll know where to drill holes, and on each ½ inch mark you're going to drill a hole within those lines that you drew earlier. So now that I have every mark done, I'm going to take my drill and I know that you see these little dotted lines. I'm going to take my drill and line the point of the drill bit up with the center of the line, and then I'll drill down. Now, as you can see, the tape is just about touching the wood, so you're going to bring it out. And now you have your hole and it's perfectly drilled down, and you'll repeat this on every single mark until you've completed the whole board. Now that we have the holes drilled, you're going to take a screwdriver or a chisel and a hammer, and you're going to knock out these notches that are in between each hole. You see those little pieces? You're going to take your screwdriver or chisel and you'll knock them out with a hammer, and then you should have a pretty solid line. And then once you do that, you can get all that sawdust out, clean the sawdust up, and then you can sand it out and move on to the next step. Now that we have our notches out of the board, you're going to sand it out. As you can see, I've done that. You can add some paint if you can't get all the sanding done, but I won't need any paint. And you're then going to find a saying that you were going to put on the sign. For me, I'm making this for my cousin, and she enjoys playing Fortnite, so I'm going to do eat, sleep, Fortnite, repeat. Then you'll take your acrylic piece. You're going to preferably want it 8.5 by 11, so about the size of a piece of paper. Mine is a little bit smaller, as you can see, but it'll still work as long as I adjust this design down. Now you're going to set your acrylic down in here to make sure that it doesn't tip over like this when you put it in there, and as you can see, mine doesn't. So you're then going to put your piece of paper in here so that the letters are on the front, or so that the letters are on the back. Now that it is all the way inside of this indent, you're going to take the excess piece of paper on the top and fold it over the acrylic just like this. Now that you have it folded over, this is where you tape it onto the acrylic. Now, for taping our design onto the acrylic, you're going to start by taking your covering off the acrylic. So there's this little plastic covering on the acrylic, and you'll just peel it off just like this. So usually it would be clear. It's not clear right now because there's black film on the opposite side. We're going to peel the other side film off too. So now that we have this off, we can just put it to the side, and then we'll go to the other side and peel this piece of acrylic, or like the covering, You're going to peel this side off. Alrighty, now that we have our acrylic piece or like wrap off, we're going to take some duct tape or scotch tape. You probably want to do scotch tape so then you don't keep the glue of the duct tape on. So you're going to take the piece of paper, put it under your acrylic so that the letters are up and you can see through on the other side. Now that flap that you folded over before, you're going to tape down so that your paper stays in place. You preferably probably want to do 4 pieces of tape for each side. You may not be able to do the bottom. Like I won't be able to do the bottom because I don't have any paper that's coming out on the bottom. So I'll just do the sides. You'll fold the sides over just like this and place a piece of tape right there, and then another piece of tape right here. Then do the same on this side. And then put a piece of tape on the lower half. Now that your piece of paper is secured onto the acrylic, you're going to take your Dremel or your engraver, and you'll put your engraving bit in, and you'll just engrave the black, not the white. You don't want to engrave the white. You're going to engrave the black lettering or picture or symbol, and then you can place it in here with some lights and you'll be done. Now for the lights, take a drill bit and drill a hole right in here so that it comes through and into this divot so that you can put the lights through here and then put the wires out through here. Now that we have the hole drilled on our side, we're going to take the LED strip. Since you can put them to a custom length, we'll put the end that you plug in on the end with the hole. So for us, that'll be this end. You'll push the LED down inside of this divot so that the LEDs are facing up. Now, you'll push it down till it reaches the bottom. And then, as you can see for me, I have to cut it right there. So you'll pop it out, cut it, and then lay it back in. Now that we have the LED glued in there, we're going to take the plug-in and just plug it in to our main piece. And then this will usually run out to a USB, as you can see right here. And then you'll just plug this in and start testing. Now that the lights are off and we have our acrylic in, you'll take your controller, turn it on, and there you go. That is pretty sweet. So on this controller, you can change the color. So like if I want a red, or if I want yellow, or if I want like a green or a purple, or whatever you want. And then as you can see here, these 4 buttons have all sorts of different like capabilities. This one is a cool like flash, and then this one is just a nice fade in and fade out. And then this is my favorite one of all of them. It's like a nice fade into each color. And then lastly, we have this one that's like a Christmas themed, where it has the red, blue, green, and yellow. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content just like this, like and subscribe.